Hey there, guys. It's Crevelis here, and welcome to the Quintessential Rhythm Podcast. It's been a while since we've had our last episode when we were talking with Kyle Ward, but today I've been wanting to interview this guy for a long, long time. I think he's really awesome, and so I wanted to have him on. So without further ado, I have Vincent Kim on. So welcome, Vincent. Thanks for being here.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It's such an honor to have you on to the podcast. Again, I don't do this very often because it's a rhythm game podcast. I don't really have a whole lot to talk about, but I like to have people on like yourself and like Kyle and others to just talk about their experiences in the rhythm game community. So again, thank you for being here, man. It's a pleasure.
Oh no, it's an honor for me to be here. I was actually tuning into your episode with Kyle Ward I was waiting for the bus to go back home. So that was a really good episode. Really learned a lot from there.
Really, that's so cool that you listened to that. So it was great talking to him. I feel like I could talk to Kyle forever.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm really happy for him and his team and stuff. But I've known about you for the longest time. I know you've been in the rhythm game community for, probably over 10 years now.
Probably, yeah. Time flies.
I know. It's like I remember playing your sim files when you first started.
Oh, geez.
On Lean Beef Jerky's machine years and years and years ago. And so we would bounce between like Pump It Up Pro PC and NXA or like Fiesta back then. And so it was great to see your stuff. And I remember talking to Peepo 221. He's like, "Oh, this guy Vincent." He's like, "Well, you were a kid then. You're a teenager." And it's like he makes really good stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's see it." So, but I just got the biggest kick out of your sim files and the artistry that you had even back then, because it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do.
Right. Yeah.
And I've been at it myself, since, oh gosh, I started playing dance games in 2003. So, doesn't lead anybody with imagination to do the math.
Right. Yeah.
But your stuff was just awesome. And so it was really refreshing in the amount of love that you put into that work, even when you were starting and then just the amount of work you've put into the community, not just in your area, but I feel like even with Storm, because I know you've been, at least once. I don't know if you've been multiple times, but it was cool to see you there. And it's just so unfortunate that we've been dealing with this pandemic in so many more ways than just we can't go to Storm. But I'll be quiet so you could talk. But I just wanted you to introduce yourself to the audience, just in case they don't know who you are and how you got your start exactly. So.
Hi, my name is Vincent Kim, or I get my name misspelled quite a lot. That's just the way of my life. Let's see. What else did I do? I guess first and foremost, I help do things for the local Georgia community here, especially in the Atlanta area. In terms of some stuff that I worked on, I think people will probably recognize me for my work that I've done for Pump It Up Infinity, Neon FM, and I'm now doing stuff for NOISZ, which is our bullet hell rhythm visual novel series franchise kind of deal. So that's been a lot of fun, just getting into development, playing, making content, just all that. So just a long story short of me.
I know, it's awesome. It's such a great thing to be a part of this community, and especially when you can get you can make a way into other aspects of it. You're not just a player, you're like a developer. So that's really cool. Because again, seeing your name in Infinity was like amazing. And for someone like me who's been in this for almost 20 years myself, it's like that was always a goal of mine. And I'm very grateful that I've had a little bit of a chance to do stuff for like Prime 2, even Pro 2. Like I remember when Dominic Renzetti or Doom, some people might know him as, like when he was working on Pro 2, and I was like, when Fiesta 2010 came out and there was like new crazy, like I say crazy, but they were singles charts for like D-Gang, Beethoven Virus. Like I was like, well, here you go, guys. Here's some edits I made. Like, I don't know if you want to do anything with them. And I wasn't expecting anything, but they're like, oh yeah, check out the credits for Pro 2. And I'm like, see my name in there. I'm like, oh, that's like meeting a celebrity to me. I mean, like that's such like a fanboy moment for me. So like to see your name too there, I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like I'm so happy for him because like I can't imagine, you know, having that honor and to eventually have it for myself too was really cool, really appreciated. So but speaking about Infinity, like I think you did write a lot of content for that, correct? Like do you know like how many step charts that you did create for the game?
Oh, well, I mean, I wrote a decent amount, but compared to everyone else on our step team, it definitely wasn't like, I didn't get a chance to write as much as I wanted to. Basically how it worked was, I mean, even though I was brought in as a step artist, turns out we had a lot more stuff to do, and like everyone else just kind of needed help on like one thing or another, so I just kind of jumped into that. And when we got basically how it works is when we got songs in, and we would just kind of write out like what difficulty range would kind of fit for this. Like, hey, I think this could use like a 3, 5, 8, 15 or so. We just write them down in like our spreadsheet. And it was basically kind of like a first come, first serve kind of deal. So everyone else would like jump on board, and whenever I would log in or just kind of jump on like my computer, there was be like almost nothing for me. But I think in a way it kind of worked out because like I ended up helping out with like, you know, fixing some note skins and doing a lot of QA and just like making sure everything is like right on like everything else. But I did I did try my best to, I really wanted to focus on the revivals, not just like the new songs, like give them like new charts and stuff. And I know we wrote probably a lot of co-op charts in the game. So that was, you know, it was a lot of fun. So
that's awesome, man. And it's cool, like I said, to be part of that process. And it's also really great to hear that you wanted to put more focus on, you know, the revival songs because, you know, they don't get as much love. And it, you know, it was cool to see like, oh, this chart has like, you know, this really hard song might have like a 15 now or something, or maybe has a 10, whereas it didn't have anything like that before. Right. So it was really cool to see that kind of thing in the game, and that the developers, not just yourself but others too, like I think Harukaze, she did a lot of charts as well. Oh yeah. In the game, and I think Zello maybe did as well. And you know, see like stuff that they did to like give those songs love, like because even I think it was Night Duty was a big thing for Harukaze, and she wrote charts, and so when they brought it over to XX, I'm like, oh, are we maybe gonna get those charts? Like I'm crossing my fingers, and I'm like, I'm rooting for you. Yeah.
We're just like, okay, cool. They're just using their own charts, but I mean, neat. I mean, like that's just like the song came back in XX. I know we wanted to bring back a lot of stuff. So and we, like when we asked for like Night Duty, we were like, are you sure the Korean team's gonna let us like have that song? They're like, yeah, screw it. And so we're just like, oh, cool, we got it. So let's just give it more charts, because the only chart that was available was like the mission chart, which we did keep, and then we're just kind of like, no, just give it more. Just give the song more love.
Yeah, it's like you should. I think more of that should happen even with XX, and I can't sit here and pretend I know all the reasons why, because I'm sure there's reasons, and that's okay. And maybe it's not a priority, or you know, but when I would go play Pump It Up with my wife, and she was learning, you know, 'cause she'd start at like 3s or 4s, and I'm like, oh man, you know, there's this great song called Clematis Rhapsodia, but you know, it has an 11, so you can't play it.
Yeah.
You know? But
yeah, I do think the Korean team especially could focus more on like the lower level content, especially difficulty gaps. That was the one thing that we tried to aim for Infinity. Didn't do as much of those, but we did as much as we can within our limits and our schedules. But yeah, like I really love that like XX especially has of late putting a lot of new charts for revivals, but the problem is most of them would really be like hard. So but they're doing something, but I wish they could probably do more, in my opinion. So.
That's definitely true, because I think it was like Top City comes to mind from a recent update, and it's like, oh, we give this like a 25 or something. I don't think it was that hard, but it's like, I looked at that, I'm like, yeah, I'm never gonna play that.
Like, I mean, cool, but it's like, whoa.
Yeah. But so I want to ask you too, going back to Infinity, what was like, you know, without saying anything too detrimental, I don't want to get into that, but like, what was the biggest challenge for you being a part of that team? Was it like writing step charts, or was it some of the QA? Again, I don't want to muddle anything or, name names or anything. That's not what we're here for. But what was the biggest challenge that you faced, being a part of that process?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably just like the overall QA process and just, meeting deadlines and having to work with the Korean team. And even then, like, we would have to wait for them to hear back on like what we can do to change and stuff. And because like Infinity, like Pro 1 and 2, from my understanding, like Fun and Motion basically handle like everything, and like Andamiro basically just only published a game. Infinity, for Team Infinity, that was designed and created to actually work directly with Andamiro for development. So yeah, that was fun, kind of jumping back and forth. And we, of course, like, we had a lot of disagreements with the Korean team on like what we want to do and convert like what they think is right for stuff. And then, it's just kind of all of that. And I guess for QA, especially like for a lot of our future updates, especially with the case of 110, we didn't get a chance to really like play test a lot of stuff. But I think what would have been nice if we were able to do it, like just looking back, just like being able to just like maybe just push out a couple locations, be like, hey, you want to get approved for like a special location test for like 110, for instance. We did try to do that with like at least like, again, like the new charts for revivals, where we could just make like edits and we can just send them to people and just get feedback from there and then just try to work from that. So yeah, I guess that's like basically the challenge, is the whole Q&A process and just working with people, just everywhere, just trying to keep everyone happy. But it's just, we can only do so much. So
yeah, and I was going back to Infinity when I heard about that, because I don't think it's a surprise to anybody probably
yeah.
that I'm a huge fan of Pro and Pro 2. Like, I'll back this story up, but I remember playing a lot of In the Groove 2 with one of my best friends who was a avid DDR player, and so we found out about In the Groove. And so I said to my friend, I looked at him, because we knew about Pump It Up, but we didn't really play that much back then, because it's like 2005. And I said, man, wouldn't it be weird or really hard if these In the Groove songs were like on Pump It Up? Wouldn't that be weird? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Pump It Up Pro. And I'm like, I wish I had $1 million, kind of like, so. But it was cool when I heard about Infinity, because I'm like, oh, I guess we're not going to get a Pro 3. Pro 2 was great. It was sad that we lost a lot of like the Korean songs that we had in Pro 1. But from my understanding of what I've heard through the grapevine is that the reason a lot of those songs were in Pro 1 to begin with is because I guess Andamiro wanted to have those songs for like World Pump Festival or something. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true. That kind of sounds logical.
Yeah,
but...
I think like on the few times I talked to Kyle Ward in the past, he told me like especially the NX1 songs for Pro, those weren't planned to be in the game apparently. But with World Pump Fest like coming around the corner and like NX just like basically released, so he actually tried to get a lot of those stuff as in. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, and of course Andamiro really loved Pro 1, so I guess it makes sense to just kind of have them a little mix, have like that hybrid or so, and you get a chance for like Western audiences especially to like get into Pump more. That was like kind of like I like, from my understanding, I think like Pro 1 and 2 kind of, it's safe to say that was like a gateway into Pump in general for like a lot of players that we just don't realize. So
definitely I think that increased my interest in Pump. I mean, because I was dabbling in between DDR and In the Groove at the time, and then Pump, and at that time Pump It Up machines weren't as common. But fortunately, I have this little place called Walt Disney World, and Walt Disney World at the time, every single arcade they had, they're like, oh yeah, we got Pump. That game, and then Disney Quest, of course, had like 5 or 6 Pump machines there all at once. So, I really got my exposure, and I really started getting into about 2006, because that's when, 2006, because that's when NX came out. So NX was brand new. It was in the FX cab. That cab looks sleek. It's beautiful. And, I'm like, these songs are great because, everybody remembers So. Everybody remembers You Inside My Dim Memory.
Yeah.
And that's where things really kind of, it was like this paradigm shift, I guess, like where the game really started to become something different. And it wasn't bad before, but it's like, okay, we're shifting things a little bit here, because actually I guess Zero really kind of started that shift a bit, but NX really took it up a notch. But going back to Pro, it's like, wow, okay, I can play So on here too. and I can play, my brother is a street singer or something, and it's like, it was awesome. Or, I and that's what I guess made me disappointed is like when Pro 2 came out. I mean, I was super excited for Pro 2 because I'm like, oh, great, we're getting a sequel to this game. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see what K-pop they bring over. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, well, Another Truth is here, and Hot is here, and I'll Give You All My Love is here. Don't bother me, he's not here. It's like, that's kind of blasphemous in a way because, that for the longest time was my favorite Korean pop song and Pump It Up because it's just to me it's so good and it was a classic. But so about Infinity, like, what's your greatest accomplishment? Because I know you also composed some songs and remix songs, correct, for the game as well?
Yeah, so I definitely handle some remixes, and I especially have to thank Hudson for that. So this was before I was in the team. They were actually searching for people to like try to help make remixes because they had like none of them, and they wanted like, hey, it'd be cool if we had some stuff of our own. And then I guess I would always make like these joke mashups here and there because knowing me, I still do, just for fun, just kind of get people's reactions out of them, and just respond back with a single period. But no, like Hudson was like, hey, you got any ideas? And I would like try to like push them through, and I actually did make like a few, and looking back, a lot of them didn't really sound great, but that was probably for the best because I keep forgetting to check with Hudson. I'm like, hey, are these songs Infinity? And he would always respond back with like, no. Because I had a remix of Number 3 by Pechigi from Fiesta EX and Slightly from NXA by 45 RPM, and I thought that was really cool. I think I have that up on like on my SoundCloud at least, but and I was like there, and he was like, man, this sounds great. But unfortunately, those two songs aren't in the game. We're just like, no.
That sounds amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. and then like, I was like, wait, you have Blow and Ripping It Up, right? Yeah. I'm like, okay, so those two basically sound the same. And then like, and I somehow like found the stems for like, I found like the instrumentals for Blow and Ripping It Up as well as like everything else. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna try to like do something with this, and that's what I did. And then I sent it to Hudson. He was like, this is great. This is awesome. We'll just put it in, and then from there just kind of did everything from there. And then I think Taro Nuke, he's crazy when it comes to like IGG mod stuff, and he wanted my help trying to help make Mawaru Infinity audio wise. And it was like, here's like a list of songs, and here's like what to do for like these transitions. I'm like, all right, cool. And then and it just kind of kicked off from there. And then, yes, I did compose one original song. I say original because I'll get to it in a minute. For 110, because like it was basically like that was our biggest update. That's probably like Pump It Up's biggest update in the entire like franchise. It was essentially like a whole game, but in an update because we kind of figured that we weren't going to be able to like make more content after that for the game again, because we were like, we need to like end this game properly somehow because development has been going on for like way too long. So, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna try to like remix like the original Infinity theme song and see what I could do. And I got and that was like, this is when like Prime Max put out Hypercube, and I think that was like a remix for like basically like an extended version of their UI theme song in Prime. And then so I was like, I'm gonna do something like that. I love psytrance, so I basically just gave it like the same treatment. In fact, like Infinitude was actually originally named just mainly out of a joke, Hyperspheramid, because that was like the thing. It was like, this is our own Hypercube, and then I just kind of did that. And I guess the one thing I kind of regret about Infinitude is that whole like synth melodic loop like in the middle of the song. That's actually just like a stock melodic loop like from a Vincent sound pack that I just kind of slapped in there because like we were actually reaching our deadline, or one of our major deadlines at the time, and so I thought maybe I could put that as a placeholder. I did handle everything else. It was just that one loop that was just there, and I meant to like go back, assuming that we had an opportunity to do more stuff, and we did, but like that was when we got even more floored with some more stuff to do. So I guess that just kind of went way past me. But I mean, it's cool. It's just I'm just like, hey, I did a song for Infinity just out of like last minute.
No, that's awesome because I know that it's difficult to create a composition.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, I understand graphics and I kind of dabble a little bit with the video stuff, but it's like, because audio to me is not necessarily like a visual medium. It's like, oh, there's just a bunch of these like sound waves and stuff.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like when someone like yourself, or like, I'm gonna butcher this name, but just Hezekiel, I'm gonna say it that way, or Jezekiel, who did like Clematis Rhapsodia and Fires, that like, I'm just like, this stuff is fantastic. Or even Kyle, and all the stuff that he's done. It's just like, or anybody, I mean, that's in it and doing it. I mean, but it's cool to support the people that
right,
and stuff like, oh, well, I love Ariana Grande or Katy Perry, and while some of those people might be great, I'm never going to meet them. It's like,
right, yeah.
It's like, oh, Vincent Kim, I know him. Like, I'll, if he ever put an album, I'd probably buy it. But the blowing it up, the blow and ripping up, that's so cool because, when Pro 2 came out, I was looking for more of that, or Future Funk Squad's music. So I found that album where Blow is on there, and I'm like, this song is amazing, and it really is. And then I think Dominic made the background video for it.
He did, yeah.
And it's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. That's awesome. It looks great.
Yeah.
So another thing, we can kind of bypass Infinity. I know you also did some stuff for Fiesta 2, right? Because I think you had a co-op for Virtual Emotion.
Yeah, that is correct. That was actually one of the couple winning charts from their Fiesta EX UCS contest. And then a quick funny story, because like not many people had like the Pro 2 like build that was like always like kind of like leaking, just roaming around on the net. I think I was given that from like a couple developers at the time who just said they were basically done with Pro 2 and like, yeah, you can have this. And then I was like, oh wait, I should probably let them know how to color code this stuff. So I recorded like a color coded version of like my original thing, and then I sent it over to Animiro, and they're just like, all right, okay, cool. We'll just have the team just kind of just look at that as reference. Thank you. So we're just kind of like, oh no.
I like how nonchalant that sounds. It's like, oh great, thanks for reference. Okay, it's like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure again there's like a reason for this, but it's like I wish their UCS editors stuff like had an option for co-op stuff.
Co-op, yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
It's like it's kind of there. It's like, well, you can upload a co-op to the website, but it's not going to be color coded. You guys can bump into each other. It's fine. You're over there.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
So like, but so I also like, because we're a little bit short on time because I don't want to keep you for too long. It's been great talking to you so far, but so what things are you up to now? For the rhythm game community. I know you've been like going through older Pump It Up mixes, which is fantastic, and recording like missions and I think just charts in general too, which has been super helpful. So thank you again for doing that for the community, because I thought like when Pump Haven had their little video thing up a long time ago, it's like, I remember asking Turkey Slay, I was like, hey, so you think you could add more charts? This is like when NXA came out. I was like, oh yeah, we don't really know how to do that, or add more or something like that. So that again, thank you for doing that, because it's a lot of work and it was really cool to see that. But like, what things are you working on now that you can talk about, or if you want to talk about NOISZ or anything like that, that'd be fantastic.
I guess I can probably kind of dig into that for like this last little segment. Let's see. Going to the old Pump stuff just on my channel. I was really inspired by Pump Haven's like video charts archives, like just way back then. And of course, like everyone, like especially like Double X when it came out, it was like 20th anniversary. But of course, a lot of us are just like 20th anniversary. I'm like, what's so special about this? You brought back like some Banya song, sure, but it was just kind of like, it didn't really feel like an anniversary, especially compared to like Fiesta 1. And of course, then that's when people were just starting to like reminisce upon like the old times, just be like, man, it's like, man, I wish I could like play this, or yeah, I remember World Max. And then especially with like pandemic hit and we were all at home, and I was just like, I gotta do something because I'm not at the arcade. And it, like, I have this, let me bring it out. So it's my hand pump controller that I got from a friend in Korea. And then eventually I got my Mark 6, my MK6, and then eventually I just started collecting more pump kits. I'm like, okay, I could do something with this. And so I just thought I'd take that as an opportunity to like Well, first I wanted to do handle Infinity, like record literally every single content because, like, you know, of course, like it didn't really get a good rep, especially among like people who played like Korean punk for like the longest time. And they always look at like our hardest, our most ridiculous stuff when, you know, we have like so plenty of like our moderate, lower level stuff that's like actually really fun. And so I thought maybe like I would record basically everything so people can form a second opinion. They can watch literally every chart that we wrote, every mission that we did, every music train, and it's just see like basically just put in all the hard work. And then like I even did like a little like a Q&A on Reddit on the Pump It Up thread, and I was like, hey, so I'm here to answer like all your questions and stuff. And then I think like people are now starting to appreciate that like Infinity, for starters, is like a game made by the players for the players. And when I was talking to N, he was basically one of the head producers and like the step manager for NX2, and he's also responsible for that Deja Vu full mission N. So props to him for that. And when I was talking to him, and I was like, yeah, you know, like every single person in the Infinity dev team like all plays rhythm games, and he was like, wow, I kind of wish we had a team like that. Of course, he was like with Next K, but he still had to kind of go with Andamiro and stuff, and it's just like they can only do so much, and of course we can only do so much too. But I think people are just starting to appreciate all that, the passion and like all the stuff that we did, especially since like a lot of us didn't really get compensated too well, or just basically just not at all. I mean, like, well, I got the shirt from Andamiro.
Well, that so obviously is totally worth it.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll take a shirt, sure. And but yeah, that was and then I guess that people just wanted more, and I was just like, all right, so I'll just start with like NX2 and NXA, and then people really wanted to see World Max. People always talk about World Max, but there weren't as many videos out there. I'm like, you know, after seeing like Zelo's and Harukaze's World Max speedrun, they went through like all of their missions. I'm like, I wonder if I could do that, but like actually like separately, and just be like, yeah, you know, this mission was doing this and that, and then it actually brought like the Korean community on board, and then like former Pump It Up developers from like NX2 and NXA and like Zero that like I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty great. This is like a chance for like Western developers and Eastern developers to kind of like talk together and just do that for once. And then like, and fun fact again, like when I was uploading all my NX2 World Max stuff, he would actually drop trivia for almost every single video, because like he also managed like most of World Max. I think he basically did all the map editing. I don't know if he did all the drawing, but he was basically the one who like insert all the missions, all the descriptions, and I'm pretty sure he made like 75% of like all of World Max content. So that was really neat, just being a chance to like, it's like, hey, you know, it's like this is some fun trivia you can do. And he would always like drop some, and he would go through his old documents. He'd be like, oh yeah, so like when you go through all the arcade on YouTube and stuff, I'll tell you like who wrote what. And it's like, yeah, so like MS Goon wrote this, and this person wrote that, and he wrote that, and I'm just like, oh, finally, you get to finally know who wrote all these charts for like after all these years. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep going. I think I'm just now starting to upload some Pro 1 content, so you know, again, to like give people like the same treatment as Infinity, because like, especially like Pro 1 and 2, that was like the gateway to Pump for a lot of folks. And like when I was tuning into the your episode with Kyle Ward, when he mentioned that Pro 1 was so influential and like how it really made an impact, you know, like you have to give him that. So
yeah, it's amazing, like, because I know that it takes a lot of effort, but what makes it so great is that you're authentic with it too, because you're not just like, oh, I'm doing this on Stepmania. You know, you're actually doing that
right
on an official.
Yeah, I'm doing it on official hardware. On like, I stick with everything official to keep that authentic experience from that version from that year, to really try to hopefully capture that. And then, yeah, I guess the main thing I'm doing it is, one, for older players, probably like us, who've been playing for a long time, to kind of go back and reminisce and just be like, oh man, these were some fun times. And two, for newer players who started on like way later, or like weren't around when these games were things. Because personally, I think that people deserve to see all this old content, especially in its most authentic experience as possible, just to see how the game has evolved over the years. So I guess my goal for that project is for me to go through all 20 plus years of Pump, and just basically just keep on going, and then just go with that from there. So that's one. I guess that's one passion project I'm just now sticking with. So it's a lot of work.
I could imagine. It's
end.
like,
yeah,
and like the resources that you need. I mean, you know, fortunately, like, computer recording equipment's gotten a lot better, and
Right.
Internet's gotten a lot better, so you can easily upload this stuff too. Because I remember when I wanted to record step charts, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to transcribe this song for Pro because it's not in there. So it's like, it was Only You is a good example by Nick, from NXA. And I remember taking a DVD recorder with a tiny little LCD screen on it and hooking it up to Lean Beef's like TV and for the pump machine, and like recording it that way. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to upload this somehow, somewhere. So it's great that we have that, and that we have those avenues, and you put in so much work and so much effort to do this. And it's great too, because I was at the arcade earlier before we got on and playing Pump with someone who was much younger than me. And he's like, yeah, I don't play any of the older songs, And I'm like, that's such a shame, because there's a lot of really great gems there.
There are, yeah.
And yeah, maybe some of the step charts aren't as great, but they, sometimes they go back and they rewrite stuff like I think it was Point Break. Was this the song by Banya, like, got new charts, a few updates ago, and that's great to see, because it's like Pump is an ever evolving game. I don't know if they do it that much in DDR, where they'll go back and it's like, oh, well, this chart's been around for like 20 years, but we've never changed it or never updated it.
Yeah.
But Pump, it's like they're not afraid to do that, and that's what's really cool. Is like, yeah, we could have the nostalgia. Yeah, we could have like 25 charts, on singles and 50 charts on doubles, but we're just gonna replace some stuff. But that's kind of what Step Mania is for. It's like, okay, we could have everything there, and that's okay. But going back and seeing that stuff is just amazing, and World Max itself is just something that is so unique and that has never really been done again, that I think players would really enjoy, because it's like mixing an RPG with dance games, and it's like that those two things seem to go together quite well, even though you would think, oh, that doesn't work. Because I remember actually being at Hudson's house. This is years ago. He had a gathering with a bunch of friends, and they had a In the Groove 2 Dedicab there. And another thing about In the Groove, for the viewers that don't know, is that you could pretty much do anything with that engine, the Stepmania engine.
Yeah.
So they were playing like this My Little Pony game where this pony's like flying and avoiding obstacles, and I was like, this community is amazing. Like, just all the things you could do. Yeah. So, but yeah, so we'll wrap things up. So, I just want to talk about NOISZ a little bit. So you did bring that up.
Yeah.
I think, were you guys gonna put it on? I thought I saw something. Maybe it was gonna be on Nintendo Switch. Is that true, or did I make that up?
We are eventually coming out on Switch. We're still trying to work that out, but yes, it is coming. NOISZ G, Recollection G. So I'll be on the lookout for that. We're also coming to arcades. I saw on Round One's tweet that or EXA. They're holding like a location test, I think, at Round One PHM. For all their stuff, they're gonna basically putting on their fighting cabs, because I think that's how they operate. And we're working with them to put NOISZ, like a special arcade version of NOISZ there. So hopefully when EXA extends to like all Round One, because we got 2 up here in Georgia, and I think that'd be really cool to just kind of promote like stuff that I help work on in there. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. And then NOISZ Starlight is what our current game. It's gonna be coming out for iOS and Android. We're aiming for December of this year, but if not, then it's gonna come out very soon. We're actually just now starting to work on a lot more content for that. But the difference for Starlight compared to like our OG NOISZ is it's more bullet hell with some rhythm elements. Starlight is a rhythm game, but with some bullet hell elements. So that's gonna be pretty interesting.
That sounds really, really cool, because I played NOISZ a little bit when I had my other computer, and for some reason I had some issues, but I'd like to give it another shot, because it's a really cool and interesting idea how, like, you could take rhythm elements and merge them with another game, and if you're a rhythm player, you'll enjoy it. If you're a bullet hell person, you'll definitely enjoy it, and it'll give you some good difficulty, because I was like, wow, like I'm really overwhelmed like with this, but it's like, it's a good game, and so they can, the viewers can find that on Steam to download, and I don't think it's super expensive or anything like that. So it's a really good game
Right.
to pick up and try.
Yeah.
So
If it gives more people an excuse, at the time of this podcast, it's because it was recently our 3rd anniversary, so the game is on sale.
Nice.
So I think our game is like it's like up to 50% off.
oh wow, that's cool.
If you
man.
want to get into that, that's cool. We also have a free demo available on our Steam page. So if you want to try to give that a try and kind of form your final decision from there, that's the option is there. But yeah, NOISZ. It's Yeah, I remember when we were first just starting to after we were done with Infinity, we were just like, we want to make games, and then of course some of us kind of not really branched out, but we formed our own team for NOISZ, and then so we just kind of did that from there, and we started drafting and stuff. And originally I was down to do some video editing for them, mainly some trailers, and then I still had my old laptop at the time that I had for years, and that was really chugging. I'm just yeah, I don't think this is gonna work out. And then I remember when we first rolled in our first Kickstarter for the game, and it was these people who worked on Team Pump It Up Infinity and Neon FM and pretty soon Archaea, they're doing a new unique music game. And I remember that didn't get funded, and then we were actually gonna call it quits and just be all right, we tried. But then I think we had something where we were working with a couple of artists, especially Mayumi Morinaga, aka Trim, so all her stuff and Bimani, and we were just we kind of promised that we would kind of roll out with a game when we were gonna work with them, so I guess we'll just say screw and just keep going. And then eventually we rolled out a little bit more Kickstarters to kind of just help do more future updates and stuff, and for our future projects. And fortunately that has been very successful. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone who supported pretty much all of it from Infinity to NOISZ. So yeah, it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for all of you. So it's
No, that's awesome, man. Well,
Yeah.
Again, Vincent, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with me today. It's been a pleasure. I'd certainly love to have you on again, in the future to talk about,
Right.
Things that you've been working on.
Yeah.
And to help you, get and connect the community closer together. And again, thank you for all the hard work over the many, many years, because it's been such a long time, But if people want to follow along with you, where's the best place to keep tabs on you there on social media?
Well, I guess there's my. You can start off with my YouTube. It's just nothing but pump videos, but to start, YouTube, VKim Royal, and there's of course my Twitter, also VKim Royal. I have a second YouTube channel now. I don't have a name for it yet because I think I need more subscribers, but it's VKim Alt. It's mainly just my food and travel stuff, because I know people follow me and really tune into oh hey, cool, this guy knows all the really good stuff to eat in Atlanta, so I'm just gonna follow his stuff. And wow, all the stuff that he eats is good. I'm just yeah, should probably tone down on the food pics, but there's people who eat to live. I live to eat, so that's just one of them. And then I'm getting back into writing some pump customs. I recently released a public beta for this old pack that a friend and I worked on, and that's finally out. So I'll probably just retweet a couple of my old posts about that and just kind of give it a boost. Yeah, no, it's if you just follow me there, just kind of annoy me there and just be yeah, I'm around. So
Very cool. Well, guys,
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and put description, some links in the description for this video. So again, Vincent, thank you so much for talking with me a little bit, and hopefully we can talk again soon. So
yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks for having me.
yeah, no worries, man. So take care, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, of course.
All right, thanks.